and methodologies for new product and service design. Yes, let me tell you that this is part of the same book that my two students before mentioned, The Product Design and Development by Carl T. Ulrich and David Eppinger. This is the book that gives us a framework of tools and methodologies for new product development and design. Okay, before I begin, let me tell you that when you want to build or design a new product or service, the innovation objective must be clear. If don't, we have to think again in terms to try to put it in a short sentence. The attributes, so in some case they are called needs of the product, must be defined and graded by the client and or the user. These are two important notes. So, and we will use a scale from 1 to 10. Let me put an example. A client said that I need a tech product where kids can jump the rope. She arrived to the tech with this need, and also more detailed description of what does the product must have is that the product must be funny, attractive, it must allow winners, and it must be light in the sense of the weight of the product. Then we discuss these numbers, the importance. How much important is the funny aspect? How much is the light aspect, the attractive, and the allow winners? Then the proposed toolkit is the so-called WASP method, in the sense that it consists in a what diagram, the alternatives table, the selection table, and a prevention table. Those are the 4 tools that we will discuss here. Okay, let's begin with the first tool, the what diagram. Essentially, it consists in a diagram that has all the functions or activities that the product will perform, or the service, with all the inputs and also the outputs. Let's put it into the context of our example. The client came and he or the user is a kid. He will jump with some hand. He will select, he or she will select the game mode or the speed. Then we will have to detect the jump. Then we have to process all the information we receive in order to activate the light and also the sound that we will have. That's all that we have. But also, we'll have fun, and for sure, we'll have some other sounds that will come from the kids having a good time. Now, let me tell you a little bit the description of the alternatives table. It essentially will group all of the functions in the first column, and then the other columns will be the options that we will have for accomplish each of the functions. Here, I tell you that it can be less or more options for each functions. It must not be necessarily 3. And then we will choose one option for each function in order to form the so-called concepts that we will have. In this case, if I make the lines, I will have 3 concepts that can be shown in the example that I mentioned. For example, the function is the select game mode. How are we going to accomplish this task? Detect jumps. How are we going to detect the jumps? And the other 3 functions. And for sure, we will have different options for each of the functions. Like here we have a keyboard, a switch, or a push button, or we can have different type of sensors. We can have 2 ways to process the information with an Arduino and also with a Raspberry. We have many ways to display the visual information, but we can have bulbs, LED, or LCD TV. And for the amplified sounds, we can have a speaker with the amplifier in an electronic board, or we can have a speaker with the amplifier built in. And then I will group all of the functions, all of the options to have the 3 concepts. As you can see, I have the concept A that you can follow the lines to see which are the components that each concept has. And that's all with this alternatives table. Then we'll have the selection table. The team and the client will evaluate the concepts from 1 to 10 in each of the attributes or needs that the client said at the beginning. And then we'll have the sum of the scores that each concept has in order to obtain the best concept. Here you have the example. As I mentioned, the attributes are those that are shown there. And here is the scores obtained by each of the concepts. You can see the scores of each one. And what do we have? That the concept C is the best concepts. And obviously it will have some of these elements and also some others that I didn't show here for simplicity. And what about the prevention table? The prevention table is to think a little bit in terms of the potential failures. And we will have a rank to evaluate them and also the actions that we will perform in order to evaluate a kind of the